For me, when I take a shot, most of the time now, before it wasn't the case. Before I was taking many shots for the fear of missing the shot. Now I feel it. Like when I see something as wow for me, I take the shot. The view of the glacier or even the shot on Mount Everest, I was like, holy cow, duck, shoot it now. I want to bring it with me. The idea for me is to plaster an emotion into a digital medium. So when I feel something, that's when I take the shot and I try to make it as similar as what I see straight from the camera. Then post production, creating maybe black and white, different things depending on the subject. But that's what I'm aiming for. Like my pictures are literally a moment when I literally felt something.
Welcome to 99 Humans. My name is Jeff LaCosta, curious coach and Wall Street Journal best-selling author, striving to understand how little things generate big impact.
And I'm Nadia Carta, tech executive and lifestyle coach with a mission to transform lives and corporations by kindling hearts to generate a zeal for life.
Each week, we investigate stories about the human side of leadership to re-energize your spirit and help you become a stronger leader.
Because the reality is that leadership is messy, goofy, challenging, but always human.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Let's dive in. Well, hey, Giorgio, where does this podcast find you today?
Jeff, in New York, right after the earthquake. So here we are.
I just saw that, a 4.8 in the tri-state area. This is not a common thing.
Yeah, I'm like, since when we have it on East Coast? I guess we are. Here we are.
Well, I hope everything's okay there. It looks like the last time that happened was 2001. So we're living through history right now.
Yeah, celebrating online live.
I thought the eclipse was going to be the historical thing we were looking forward to.
Yeah, New York say, watch me. Hold my beer.
Yeah. Well, Giorgio, thank you so much for joining us on 99 Humans. Really, really excited for this conversation because it looks like your background is just absolutely incredible, both in the positions that you have held, the passions that you have, and really just the eclectic skill set that is on display just through a resume. So from being a professor to being a leader in the advertising space to being a photographer, I'm curious, just give me a quick rundown of what's taking your time nowadays.
Work in advertising world, as you say. I'm leading everything connected to identity resolution and tech transformation for Mindshare, part of Group M. And the other side of my life is all about photography, which is I call it second job as my passion. It's something that draws it nurtures my spirit.
I love that you say that because 99 Humans talks to a lot of different leaders in a lot of different fields. Mm-hmm. And often we hear stories about, leadership in that field, but we're all about understanding the human side of leadership. And so to hear you say that photography nurtures your spirit is a really interesting, thread to pull on here at the beginning. So tell me what you mean by that. Why and why does your spirit need nurturing from the day job?
And that's an important point on saying leaders are humans. In leadership position, you make choices people expect, especially when you're an SME on tech, to have answers all the time. So you have a constant, you need to be up on the market, knowing information before everybody else, be able to inform everybody. That creates not a stress, but keeps you under pressure, which people like me likes it, but until a point. There are moments when you need to plug off, reconnect to yourself. And photography allows me to travel to where I love most, mountains, nature. I'm going to go in a month to Glacier National Park again to shoot on the glacier. These places literally take me back to my mountains, to where I am, and literally nurture my spirit. Just is unexplainable otherwise. Put me under the glacier like I did in Patagonia, just breathing in all the blues, all the color. It just gives you the energy to go back and get ready to keep the same quality, because, leading in general is taking care about your team, about people. Everyone has a unique story, unique family, unique needs. So many times we forget about that. And I think many leaders need to remember that before entering the office every single day.
Has this always been something that you've managed to keep a part of your life, or when did you realize that you needed to really foster this love for photography?
It always been part of my life from the beginning, meaning my mom was taking pictures. I was seeing them when I was a kid. For me, it was more like a toy, a play. I started to use, the cameras you buy with a few fixed shots, and taking pictures just for fun. And then it became serious 6 to 8 years ago when I came in US. I started to people started, friends asking me, "Oh, you're selling those?" I never came in my mind. I'm like, actually, I should. And I always had photography as my way to express myself. So it just took it to a next level and actually became even my escape route. When everything is around might be noisy or might not going the right way, there's not going to be much stress. I just focus on my photography, everything goes away. And then I'm ready to get back to the work.
What does that look like? How do you split your time? You called it a second job, but practically, what does that mean?
There is a lot. People think photography is just taking a nice shot. Now, also with a phone, you can take it, but it's about understanding which location, understanding what's your photography looks like. What's your niche, what's your identification. Building a company for photography requires documentation work, understanding how much money you're bringing in, how much profitable you're going to be or not going to be, how you put yourself in the market, because you need to recreate a brand and you are the brand as an artist. So, and then, you can touch photography from multiple angles. So I'm working with Ellen, my brand manager. She's the one actually the brain behind the scenes. There was an opportunity, for example, enter the NFT world. We try, now we're working with a group called 30 Campus Cities. They're collectors, and tonight actually we have an event when we're gonna showcase some of the NFTs. So you never know. It's about to understand how to combine all the pieces, and it takes a lot of time. It takes hours just to scan, understand information or the places you want to visit. A hike is not a hike. I mean, I've been 2 years ago in Nepal to do the Everest, not until the top. That was not my point. But to get to 15,000, 16,000 feet to take a couple of shots, and it requires preparation. So you need to be think about the fitness, how you're gonna take a shot, the travel, post-producing, sending out collections. That's a lot of work behind the scenes that people sometimes don't think about it when they buy a print.
Yeah, 100%. Well, hearing the NFT space, okay, so that's clearly an emerging technology.
I saw your face when I say it, like, here we go.
I think you can't say NFT and expect no reaction, right? Yeah, exactly. Maybe. But there's a lot of emerging tech out there nowadays. I mean, it feels like we're in a bit of a revolution time where everything that we thought we knew is changing.
True.
And that's impacting you both in your advertising world, no doubt, as well as your photography world. So talk to me more about how this changing tech is changing, your world.
In advertising is changing, is in similar way as it's changing in photography, because Gen AI especially is the most prominent if you think about all the creative use cases, but there is a lot more to it. The problem most of the time that I see, and I've been in a couple of panels right now, like 1-2 weeks ago, people still think Gen AI is ChatGPT. It's not that. That's the final application. It's just a piece of the equation. You're right, it's going to revolutionize what we're doing. It's going to open up new opportunities. For me, it's fun and interesting how to combine all the components all together, see how it's going to take us from data operations to advertising, bidding, to everything, because it literally touches everything. And it was touching it before. If you think about the models, some of the models or some of the basic AI is based on models that are existing since the 50s. So it just computational power is different, not the model behind. Tesla has existed since many years. It's not new. That's an AI use case. But anyway, for photography, same story. There is also a question of ownership, Gen AI. In my case, I tried to make the NFTs unique at the time I was using Midjourney, but combining with my photography. So I feed my pictures into the engine and I write a script that is long as hell, because it's literally, there are two ways to do the same thing. You're doing like everybody, or you're doing it the right way, meaning you learn the language, you learn the parameters, you understand how to talk to the machine. In order to get the right answers, you need to give the right questions. So if you don't speak the language of the machine, in that case, talking about Midjourney, but same story applies to Unity, Gemini, and everything else, you're not going to have the result you're looking for. So that's a transformation is impacting both. Let's see, it's very exciting. Even in post-production, I'm thinking Photoshop has a new function. Sometimes that save my day because I just remove an element in half a second. Time ago, I should be doing 47 layer mask, going back and forth. Now, tick, tick, done, ciao. So, and you have a good product. So there are positive components that simplify your process and how you work in both scenarios, advertising and photography. There are other things that worry me, like ownership, copyright material, the ethic component of the equation. But every revolution has its own pieces. Every transformational pivotal moment like this one has those. So actually, I'm happy to be in the middle of it because we're going to be the one starting this revolution.
There's a lot in the press about art, especially, and AI,
Yeah.
and kind of how these are combining, right? We just had strikes and all of that. And to your point, every revolution has, pros and cons. So I actually write. That's kind of my photography.
Yeah.
It keeps me sane in my day job, and all weekends I'm spending writing, and
Yeah.
it is really disrupting that space, I would say, as much as the photography space. But I'm seeing writers in two camps. They're either embracing it or they're rejecting it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're pretty firmly in the embracing side of this. But how did you land there? Why not push back against this change?
I never push back on changes because I see an opportunity to evolve what we're doing. For when I saw the strike that you mentioned, I understand what's happening. The writers, and in that specific environment, there's a uniqueness to what you write. In my case, I see an opportunity to optimize my process. In some cases, I'm a disaster drawing or doing a 3D modeling. I can have a help from the AI using some code that somebody else has used to have something I wouldn't be able to create it. So for me, feel some limitations that I have and help me to create something I wouldn't be able to, that I have in my brain, but I cannot have an expression for it. So I can create that using my own photography. So it's not out of nowhere. I'm combining something I have in mind with something else. On the other side, obviously, there is, as we said before, there are people that are winning photography awards with AI, and then it comes up as an AI-driven thing. That's why now more and more organizations want the original file because they see the EXIF with all the parameters. You see the lenses you use, you see all the information. So that's protecting us, the photographers, more on that part. But for me, to be honest, Jeff, this monster is going to be leading and it's going to be the future no matter what. So in my mind, I better embrace the change instead of resisting it and find the right way to do it. Like find the ethical components and fix it. Because obviously many careers and lives are involved into this. And we don't want anybody to be affected that dramatically. How can a writer can improve his process, keep high productivity? I'm thinking about a Sheridan or something like that you need to write 6 series in a row that might going to support you. If it's going to ruin other people's careers, maybe. But so it happened in 2006, 2007, when we have other tech revolutions. And then when you have initially, if you think about even in US, when Uber came into the game, taxi drivers, cab drivers were fighting against it. Now they have Curb, they have some of them do both of them. More people were able actually to have a job for that. So every wave had pros and cons. Most of the time, I'm a tech guy from the beginning of my career. So I embrace tech no matter what. But I'm trying to teach everybody about the risks, including in AI, the bias and the fact I want to see more female representation is a risk because it affects the code, the result, the bias in the system is made by humans. So,
yeah, I mean, what the phrases that I keep hearing are, you're not competing against AI for your job. You're competing against people who are using AI in your job.
There's a human behind it at the end. Yeah,
exactly. And that feels like it's something that won't go away for quite some time.
No.
It's just interesting to see how art is one of the first things impacted, which is a bit of a bummer. I don't know if you feel the same. I'm like, gosh, I wish that we were disrupting some boring thing that humans don't want to do, not a beautiful thing that I wish more humans did.
You're right. But also can give expression to people that otherwise wouldn't have that. I saw I don't remember the exact name, the beautiful piece of art made by a person. She's an artist, she doesn't have arms. And talking to the machine and giving us a specific information, she was able, sorry, to create an amazing piece of art. With a new tech, you can do it anyway in other ways, but she had a similar approach to what I have. And then she said, that's the first time I can put something to life, even if it's virtual, but I can represent her art, which is something that resonates with me because I'm doing something similar. Not knowing, because I have some technical limitation on how to use some pieces of tech or some software. She doesn't have limbs, so she had to overcome that, and using the microphone to dictate to an engine and have a result gave her great possibilities. So I see for specific type of artists that don't have a voice or don't have a way to have a voice, now they can. For many others, you're right. And the problem with the NFT, you saw in the beginning, everybody was doing 50,000 copies of the same monkey, the same thing. That was a trend getting in the form of the people.
It's always the
art.
monkey. That's all that I know of
That's not art.
NFTs is the monkey.
No, that's not art. Yeah, that's not art. Some people pay millions and now they're worth what? Nothing. So that was just a trend, which is, again, we can spend hours discerning on what's art, what's not. But that was just, everybody followed it. 20,000 different collections following the same model, people going in, hoping for the easy money. And that's one of the damages in my mind that pandemic made, because all things are emotional like this and people just have this fear of missing out. But yeah, you're right. I would have hoped that art wouldn't be the first one, but it makes sense why it's the first one.
Yeah. So we talked about your kind of AI expertise merging with your passion for photography, your business of photography, but you alluded to the kind of hidden hard work of creating a photography business. But so far, I feel like our conversation is, wow, incredible. You're juggling, this incredible position in the advertising industry while you pursue this very successful AI plus photography business. But I'm sure it hasn't all been an easy ride. Can you open the curtain a little bit more and maybe share a time that was quite challenging as you were starting this business and learning how to juggle these two loves that you have?
Actually, is hard right now. If I wanna literally open the curtain, meaning when you start in the beginning, you have a dream, you have an idea, and you are in this dreamland. When you just start shooting, combining pieces, it comes more. There's more like a play connected. When you decide you go for real on the business, and especially photography, there is a lot of competition, as you can imagine. That becomes very different. You question yourself every now and then. Like Ellen knows, she's gonna potentially listen to this podcast. We had a discussion no longer than 2 weeks ago on redefining the niche, redefining even how I'm gonna talk to the social media, because I've been very far away lately from reels and everything. But actually, art is a matter of also connection and people relating themselves to the artist. So I need to get back on the part, showing my my real me and see what comes. And I was skeptical initially, but people like Ellen, even Nadia, other people that I talk around me, they say, hey, this is what you need to do. So there's always a mixing and matching. And I'm talking to Arda, then we're going to go very fast on the career too. If you don't question yourself, that's the moment you're going to start losing the track of who you are, where you are. So for me, I have a tattoo here on my wrist.
Oh, cool.
It's called is a game word, means be greater than average, but where the average is myself, is modified in a way that the average is me, meaning don't stop challenging yourself, keep pushing, because the moment you sit down is the moment you make mistakes, in my mind, especially in art. So behind the curtain, this is what's happening, and it's always going on. There's no moment when you settle. Even, and I'm gonna meet in a couple of weeks a geophotographer friend of mine, and he always told me, even on his, is questioning if his next book is going to be successful. Many components are behind the scenes all the time. For work, it's the same story. I changed career. I stayed in career in analytics for many years, starting from tech, moved to the advertising world to combine the two pieces. But especially for me, I manage multiple regions, multiple type of cultures. So many times you ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? How should I convey the same message across Europe versus Latin America versus Asia versus United States itself? For me, coming from Europe here in 2015, it wasn't easy in the beginning to understand, different communication totally, even just the feedback delivery to the teams is way different. And then you see people that have 10 years younger than me with similar position of mine, and you question yourself, am I successful? What defines my success? And then I got to the point that I'm like, the position, the salary doesn't define my success. The team around me, how they grow with me, that defines my success, and how satisfied the leadership is on the result that we're making in terms of monetary result and culture. So there's always a clash, internal clash.
I think the way you started saying it was that it's always challenging when you're pursuing your dreams. What is your dream right now?
I'm superstitious. I'm not going to comment because I'm going to jinx it.
Oh, okay.
No, joking aside. Two, one, to bring more awareness and have more for the work. A stronger leader that can open up again more to female representation AI, keeping more and more prominent into what I'm doing in identity and consultancy. On the photography, become like pro photographer, maybe have a being published somewhere. Might be Nat Geo is a dream, but you never know. It's not just Nat Geo. To be to the point that you need just 1,000 followers that really follow you, love you, and they buy your work. I want to get there. And all of that takes me to my real dream, having a ranch in Wyoming and be there with my horses, my mountains, watching the Grand Teton, and being paced with the word.
I love it. You say, don't jinx it, but I'm a big believer in, allow yourself to envision that dream, put it into the universe.
I think about every day.
Pursuing it. Sounds like, yeah, you're doing the work to make it happen.
I hope so.
Has there ever been a time where this pursuit of photography has conflicted with the actual job, or have those things always allowed each other to coexist?
No, you make them work in the meaning that, especially when it was a few years ago, 2015, 16, I was leading Latin America. So in that case, you travel a lot. So I was able to combine long weekends, something like this, and move back and forth. There are moments when there's a new business pitch or there is a specific presentation. You cannot go to holiday, or you cannot have especially in a leadership position, sometimes you cannot take as long as holiday as you want to. Depending on where you are, obviously, and then in the case you need to lower down. But in my case, right now where I am, they literally are very, as much as you can control what you need to do, and you have a backup plan or somebody keeping a place for you. Again, what I always say to my teams is, we have responsibilities, but we're not saving lives. We're not doing open heart surgery. So it's important to find time for everybody, plug off, disconnect. And the same for me. I plan my minimum three trips a year, divided in different points. Sometimes with our breaks, like Thanksgiving or something else, or something like, or President's Day or whatever. Some other times on purpose outside because I want to avoid people. If I'm going to Montana, that's a hike I need to be alone with potentially a local guide and nobody else around me. So it is a hit and miss. You just need to make the space for it. And I don't have a family. So if you have a family, it will be different. In my case, I made a specific choice and I'm pushing toward, this is my goal. I'm not going to back up until I decide I made it or I didn't make it.
I find it inspiring to work for leaders who are being intentional, designing their life to pursue the things that they love, versus, because there's plenty of leaders who are out there, nose to the grindstone, only work 24 hours a day. And I mean work in the sense of the job, not you're working a lot, but it's across a diverse set of experiences and passions. And frankly, that's somebody who I can relate to a lot more than those who are just killing themselves for somebody else's dream.
And you're not leaving either. I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me, I cannot, we were just trying to get a coffee. I cannot now. I have this exco. I need to do this. I'm going to be out. I'm going to be, yeah, you're not living. You're just being absorbed by what a company tells you to do, which I understand. The more you get on C-suite and executive roles, but there's always a time if you want to make it. Sometimes people forget that we have put ourselves into a blender because we want to be part of the blender. We want to feel important in the blender. For me, I potentially might not gonna ever be a C-suite person and not necessarily care. I'm gonna do the best as I can to support everybody around me, wherever it takes me. We'll see. And I got to an executive level anyway, so I think my existence in the corporate America, where I am in advertising, testifies that even if you can work in a company like mine when they allow you to specifically open up your space, crowd your space, and take care of your teams. A, the team is going to support you when you're out. B, you can build that healthy balance, and you create a different breed of managers. Honestly, for me, because as you said correctly, I have your same feeling. When I hear people just jumping and talking just about work, after 2 minutes, I'm done. I'm like, sorry, not interested. Literally, if work defines you, that was your life. I mean, I love my job. Don't get me wrong. I'm a tech guy. I can talk for technology for hours, but it doesn't define me.
Yeah. So what's your favorite photo that you've taken? I don't know if that would even mean something, if that comes to mind, or it changes all the time.
The favorite photo is the one I yet have to take. To be honest, I have few that really gives me emotions. One is the one I took in Mount Everest because that was a shot of Mount Everest during the sunset, and it was minus 30 Fahrenheit, so it was cold and windy, and the tripod broke. So I was using stones. Literally, we recorded a moment because it was fun, and then we do a video for it because I use stones. Pile them up, put the camera, take a shot, and whatever happens,
Wow.
happens. And that's because it's scrappy. The scrappy nature of the equation is something that really adds something more to it. And when I told the story even to some friends and some other, even on Instagram, some people bought it at the end because they want to have a piece of that story. A story that tells, a picture that tells a story is a picture that I love the most. Another one was under the glacier in Patagonia. You put me in the most unconventional places in nature, that's where you're gonna find me, especially on ice. I was under there. The blue were so intense that was mind blowing. It was unexplicable. Honestly, I thought I was in a different universe. Another one was Antelope Canyon. The color, even there, the lights, the purples were very intense, and it was the only time I was able to take the shot from the entrance without people. That's a very crowded places usually. And learning from the Navajo guys, the culture behind everything, why the area was sacred for them, who on their family came to that created a connection. So these are three that come in my mind automatically if I need to think about my best ones.
Do you know when it's going to be an amazing shot, or is that something that you kind of uncover through the post-production process?
Good question. For me, when I take a shot, most of the time now, before it wasn't the case, before I was taking many shots for the fear of missing the shot. Now I feel it. Like when I see something that is wow for me, I take the shot. The view of the glacier, or even the shot on Mount Everest, I was like, holy cow, duck, shoot it now. I want to bring it with me. The idea for me is to plaster an emotion into a digital medium. So when I feel something, that's when I take the shot and then try to make it as similar as what I see, straight from the camera. Then post production, creating maybe black and white, different things depending on the subject. But that's what I'm aiming for. Like my pictures are literally a moment when I literally felt something.
I think it's amazing to hear you striving for that future dream, to hear the hopes that you have, while also experiencing clearly the passion and love that you have for
Mm-hmm.
photography. Honestly, I would guess a lot of leaders who listen to this episode will feel jealous of hearing a leader effusive about something that isn't work, and the fact that you're actually doing it, right? People have passions, but you've somehow found a way to actually dedicate time, energy, money towards that passion.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for somebody who might be longing to find that same combination?
you need to think like the 2% that make it. For me, using reading books like Atomic Habits, or even listening to other speakers. Even there was one moment many years ago I listened to, I think Schwarzenegger was having a motivational speech. I found it on YouTube. It was saying similar thing. If you want to make it happen, you need to have an idea clear in your mind, and you need to put up the effort. The same story applies if you think about fitness. A person wants to be fit, but doesn't put the effort to go to the gym every day or 4 or 5 times a week. Photography, everybody wants to be, or acting, everybody wants to be a famous actor, or many people. I don't honestly, because it would be a disaster. But do you you go to do the lesson? Do you study? You put the effort required. Sometimes people say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky, you're a photographer." No, I spent years and years crafting my art. I'm still working on learning from other photographers, traveling the world. I will travel the world anyway, but changing my way to travel just to get where I need to be to take specific shots. And it takes a lot of time. When I come home from work, sometimes you work 10, 12 hours. If there's an emergency, you come home, you're exhausted. I still turn on my computer and keep going. Sometimes, obviously, I take a break because I'm not a robot. But I remind myself every time where I want to be, what I want to do. And it's like literally Atomic Habits. You put the process, you stick to it, and the system gets ingrained in you, even the fitness. In order to do my hikes, I need to be fit. Is about, and I believe in the fact that a healthy body can give you, is an investment on a longer high quality life. So for me, I wake up at 5:08, 5:15, I'm on the gym in the morning, train because I don't function in the afternoon. I need to do for post-production. Go to my office, 8, start working, getting the first calls, or even earlier if they are in Asia, in APAC region, finish my job, 5, 6, 7, whatever it takes, go back home, get a rest a little bit, half an hour, and back to work with photography. So just keep pushing it and just thinking the people that doesn't make it is the people that drop it. If you dedication beats quality and even skills. I see a couple of friends of mine that are 40 times better than me as photographers. They just had decided prioritize a family, having kids. Photography went out of the window. So it's a matter, you can do that even having a family, but you need to put the effort and the time and negotiate a lot with your life. Especially for me, social life, out of the window most of the time.
I think it's inspiring to, well, your passion is, contagious, but just to hear the work that it takes, it's good because it doesn't mean you were born with something like, lucky you, born to be the photographer.
No.
And that may be true in some ways, but in others, it's the hard work, it's the dedication, showing up every day. And that's something that we can all do towards whatever the interest is, towards whatever, that dream really is. So, Giorgio, if people want to connect with you, where can we find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Giorgio Suighi, so GIORGIOSUIGHI, or my website, same, www.giorgiosuighi.com, or LinkedIn, my first and last name, wherever you see my name, or Google me, you're going to find me somewhere somehow.
Amazing. Well, we'll put all those links in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining today. Great conversation. I hope no more earthquakes in New York for you, and otherwise a good weekend.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Giorgio.
Ciao.
You too. Bye.